From Austin's news station, this is KVUE News, Nightbeat.
All right, Kevin, thank you. In tonight's Defenders investigation, a look at a small Texas town facing a deadly problem. KVUE's Clara Tuma looks at why so many people in Somerville are getting cancer and why some say the town's main industry is to blame.
The sleepy town of Somerville is about as far from hustle and bustle as you can get.
It's a small town. Everybody knew everybody. It's just a great little town.
95 miles due east of Austin, the town of about 1,700 is a place where you can take your time, put down some roots, and some family ties. But some claim there's an invisible poison permeating this small town, a poison rooted in the railroad ties made here for years.
It's bad. I mean, you could go almost to every other house and someone has died or got cancer in the house right now.
Some say the problem in Somerville began more than 25 years ago when workers at a special plant began dipping railroad ties like these in something called creosote. Coal tar creosote is a mixture of chemicals that make up the most common wood preservative in the United States. Among other uses, it protects railroad ties from insects. Some workers in Somerville say that years ago, before new owners took over the railroad tie plant, workers there handled creosote with their bare hands and wore it home on their clothes. They say workers even burned treated ties at night, spreading what they say were toxic fumes over the town. Now, some say that exposure is killing them.
The problem is we don't know what we're catching because every cancer seems to be some rare form of cancer.
Dennis Davis can rattle off more than 24 people from Somerville with cancer.
It's like a plague that's come down on us.
This year, he joined the list.
Where they diagnosed that I had pancreatic cancer.
That's why Davis joined a list of more than 160 other Somerville residents touched by cancer, taking on the railway in a company town.
This has been the most horrific, awful thing that I've ever been involved in my entire life, and it's sad and sickening.
Davis went to work at the railway in 1971 and eventually served on the Railway Safety Committee.
Nobody ever addressed us about the chemicals. We never had proper equipment to keep the vapors and fumes from breathing them.
The lawsuits claim the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway, which owned the plant until 1995, failed to warn workers of the dangers of creosote and eventually allowed the creosote to contaminate people, property, and homes.
It's got creosote in it.
A case filed by one-time employee Don Hightower has settled for an undisclosed amount, just before Hightower died from cancer that ate away at his face. The Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway would not talk with us, but sent us a statement denying it's at fault, saying the litigation is based on lawsuit-driven junk science. It notes the State Department of Health has studied Somerville and found cancer there in the expected range, not above average. It denies any wrongdoing.
This was our fence line.
But Linda Faust, who is also suing the railway, says she's convinced creosote is killing her.
During the biopsy, they found that I had stomach cancer.
Faust never worked at the plant, but her husband does. And until the new owners took over, she laundered his clothes blanketed with creosote.
I handled it daily. I mean, it was something, and we were told that it wouldn't hurt us. We moved it from here.
Faust says she believes the cancer that forced the removal of her stomach is from exposure to creosote. But the railway says the only likely causes of Mrs. Faust's stomach cancer are smoking and the H. pylori bacterium, two carcinogens. Mrs. Faust has smoked since she was 17 years old and continued to smoke for 9 years after her cancer diagnosis.
I was satisfied that we weren't putting the employees in harm's way.
In a court deposition, former plant superintendent Gene Welch said he was unaware creosote might require special handling.
I don't know that I ever had anybody come to me and complain about creosote hurting them. If they did, I don't remember it.
Still, there are questions from many in Somerville, wondering whether working for a living at the plant is causing them to die young. For the Defenders, Clara Tuma, KVUE News.